Hello everyone, my name is Joshua Miller, and in today's video discussion we will be talking about disciplinary actions in our states. And so for me, I'll be covering the state of Florida, as I'm originally from Florida. I'm a Florida state resident and a licensed nurse in the state of Florida. And also I found extreme difficulty when looking up disciplinary information for the state of Connecticut. So based on my research of the disciplinary actions, some of the more common reasons for action were complaints against the practice of a counselor. When I read this information, I was a little disturbed because going through some of the complaints, they involved disciplinary action against counselors for sexual relationships in some cases, and in some other cases it involved sexual relationships with minors. So I did find that extremely disturbing as I was reading through them. Common themes that I found with the disciplinary action was for disclosing confidential information, causing harm to patients, and of course inappropriate relationships with clients. So one of the more recent cases that stuck out to me for the state of Florida was a counselor that was writing a letter for authorizing an emotional support animal for a client that had severe PTSD and anxiety. And so this counselor provided this letter to the client, but the client lived in an apartment complex that did not allow animals. And so the landlord of the client sent a letter to the counselor requesting information about the client's condition, to which the counselor responded with confidential information about the client's diagnosis and treatment without the consent of the client. So the counselor violated the 2014 Aca Code of Ethics, B1C, which is respect for confidentiality by disclosing confidential information without the client's consent. Had they been a counselor in Connecticut, they would have violated the 2011 Connecticut General Statute 20-195EE1, which is the failure to conform to the standards of the profession. Being that they were a counselor in Florida, they actually violated the 2020 Florida General Statute 491.0147, which covers confidentiality and privileged communication by mental health counselors. So the counselor was subject to administrative complaint filed against their license. They did not lose their license, and they did not get a fine, but they did have that administrative complaint filed against them, similar to what a nurse would have. They would have a complaint filed against their license. So the Connecticut Act for Professional Counselors, which is the 2011 Section 20-195EE, states that counselors are subject to disciplinary action for alcohol or substance abuse, and then also for physical, mental, or emotional disorder that makes them unable to perform their duties. So this covers the area of impairment, and Connecticut is very strict when it comes to preventing counselors from working with clients that are impaired. So it is very important for counselors to recognize this. As far as the Aca Code of Ethics from 2014, counselors have to be aware of their own behavior. So in Code C2G of the 2014 Aca Code of Ethics, counselors need to be aware of their own behaviors, their own issues and problems, and prevent themselves from treating clients when they have those problems. And in addition to that, they need to help recognize problems in fellow counselors. And so all of this goes to say that not in all cases, but counselors should be aware of impairment and be aware of how that affects them and how they may not perform to their best. So my question for the group, for everyone here, is how would you go about informing a fellow counselor that they're impaired? I mean, and how would you handle that situation if they're a close friend or colleague that might be refusing to seek help? So I look forward to answers and feedback, and we'll see you next time.